Let's go out to Emily in Salt Lake City. Hey, Emily, what's happening?
Hello, Dr. John. How are you?
We're figuring it out today. It's a tough one here in town, but we are figuring it out. How are you guys?
Yeah. Yes. We're doing okay out here.
Very
a lot
good.
of snow, but doing okay.
I don't even know what that means. Don't even know what that is. How can I help? What's up?
Honestly, right now I am just feeling very overwhelmed. I'm exhausted. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, any way you can think.
What's going on?
There's a lot going on in my life right now, but I'll kind of share my question, and then I ask you to please steer this conversation because we don't have 3 hours. But
Okay.
but my question is, how do I tell my children who are 14, 13, and 7 the truth about their father, who they love dearly? After I've disguised everything as much as I possibly could up to this point. And honestly, this is coming forth now as an effort to protect them and to prepare them for the potential
Emily, get to it. You were talking in circles after circles after circles.
I know.
What did their dad do?
Well, he is currently in prison. And
child sexual abuse?
No.
Okay.
It was sexual abuse. And I was the victim.
Okay.
Of the sexual abuse.
I'm so. Hey, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is he coming up on parole?
Yes, his first parole hearing will be this summer.
Will he get it?
I honestly do not know. I feel like I have never been able to trust the system to consider me in any of the decisions. Though he did get sentenced to prison, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. I am I'm having to prepare myself for him getting out. I don't see him.
How are you preparing yourself for that? Because right now it sounds like you're holding your breath.
Right now I'm really not. Okay. Right now I am more concerned about just being able to protect my kids from what they don't know.
You used a word that I want you to be very, very careful of. You used the word disguised. And that's really close to not telling them the truth. And I know you're doing it to protect them, to keep them from the hell that you went through. But in the process of helping them and keeping them safe, I don't want you to burn the last relational thing they're going to have, which is trust in their mom. Okay?
No, I understand that. And that's where finding a balance is. I don't know how. From the time they were born, I have never involved them in the arguments or the tension or the, anything going on in the home. I tried to.
They listen, Emily, they know.
Create this fairy tale for them.
They know. They don't know the specifics. They don't know the details, but they know. I promise you they know. Now I'm going to paint you a bleak picture about the path this could go on. And then I'm going to give you some hope, okay?
Okay.
Here's the bleak picture. They know. They have felt this tension for years. They've seen mom disappear. They've seen mom come up with stories about why is dad not here tonight? What is that scrape from, mommy? What happened to your to your eye, mommy. Like, they've been asking these questions for years. They know. But when they don't have any part of the picture, the full picture, they may never know, and that's okay. But having any sort of inkling that there's a picture, what happens is he gets out, or they visit him, or they take a phone call with him, and he can paint a pretty clear picture that mom's crazy. And your mom did this. And suddenly, in a distorted puzzle, all of their confusion and frustration and absorption of all that tension that they've experienced over the years, they get a picture for it. And the puzzle pieces lock into place. And he suddenly is able to drive the narrative. See what I'm saying?
I do. I feel like that has happened their whole lives.
It has. It has.
He's had no problem, telling them, mommy doesn't want daddy living at home anymore. I have never been able to say one negative thing about their dad.
Right. So here's what we're going to do. This is not a conversation for you to have by yourself. You've got to get a counselor, a trained counselor, especially with the 14 and 13-year-old, and probably a play therapist with the 7-year-old. That's kind of on the border. It will depend on the maturity and wisdom of your 7-year-old. In fact, I'm thinking about my kids. I would go one direction with one and another direction with the other. But you are going to have a counselor walk you and your child individually through this conversation. And the reason we're going to have a counselor, number one, is what we have to do is do something called, trying to think of a layman's term. We got to create safety. We have to teach these kids how to self-regulate when they hear everything they know about their world is upside down.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be somebody that teaches both of you, and they're going to watch you breathing exercises, writing, journaling, drawing pictures, thinking of things, going for walks, catching your breath, all these things in a seeking safety protocol, so that we can get to the reason daddy's in jail is daddy hurt mommy really, really bad for a long time. And then that kid is going to hear that from a counselor and is going to look directly at you. And then that kid is going to feel shame that they didn't see it. They're going to feel shame that they didn't stop it. They're going to feel all sorts of shame that part of them is their dad. And how could I do this? Right? All that stuff. That stuff's going to happen. And having them have an already established relationship with a professional therapist is critical. Okay?
Okay.
You don't do this one on your own, especially not now. If you just took one of your kids out to McDonald's and said, hey, I've got some hard stuff I got to tell you, you are going to make them you're going to so distort their world. They're going to have to run to what's safe and what's comfortable. And they're going to be ripe to be filled in with stories either way. Dad's evil. Mom's crazy. Back and forth and back and forth. I want to go with a counselor. We're going to slow play this and say it in a way. And then at some point, they'll bring the whole family in because you'll have the what do we do now conversation. And by the way, these records down the road might be what's used in a parole hearing or in a custody hearing. Okay?
Okay.
So that when you tell that 14-year-old who's now 15 or 16, when you're 18, you can do what you want to do. Your daddy is not safe. And so I am making the choice to keep my kids safe. And I understand that you miss your dad. I miss him too. But I'm safe now. See what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
It's a tough, messy thing. But can I ask you one hard question underneath all of this?
Yes.
Well, I won't ask that question. I'll ask it in a different way. Let me make a statement instead of asking you a question. I don't put you on the spot. That's kind of a mean question I was going to ask. The greatest gift you can give those kids is you believing that you are worth being well too. And you do not believe that. True or false?
True. I feel like the energy that I can muster up, I owe it to my kids to make sure that they're okay. I just don't feel like I have time for both.
At some point, because you choose to not take care of you, they lose their mom. Don't let that happen. You've heard this said 1,000 times in 1,000 different places. When the plane goes into distress, you got to put your oxygen mask on first so that you can make sure every one of those kids gets their oxygen mask on. But if you instantly start grabbing for 3 kids who are a mess, trying to get their masks on, and they're fighting you and yelling you and taking them off when you get them on, pretty soon you pass out. And you're getting real close to your edge, right?
I am.
Yeah. I know that because his parole date, his get out date is getting closer, and you can't think of that day even. Your body still goes into pure survival. It goes back to hell, into those hard, evil moments. You got to make a call today. Will you do that for my friend Emily?
Yeah, I'll do that.
And I want you to do this for you, but if doing it for your kids helps you make that first phone call and go to that first, and the first one will be easier than the second one. The second counseling session will be brutal. The third one maybe even more so. I had a 2-hour session the other day and it was rough. But I'm telling you, on the other side of this is a clarity, an ability to sleep, an ability to sit down across from an attorney and not have your body go to fight or flight, but to be able to say, no, I don't think you understand. This is how this is going to go. It's a world that you haven't experienced in so long because you were married to a person who hurt you all the time. Will you take care of my friend Emily?
Yes, I will.
Okay. And when I say that, I don't want you to think of that as an extra chore. When I say I want you to take care of my friend Emily, that means I want you to go sit at the feet of a professional and say, I'm ready for healing. I'm ready to get help. I'm ready for this pain to stop so that I can love those kids. So that I can love those kids. I want you to hang on the line. I'm gonna send you a copy of Own Your Past, Change Your Future just for you. You may have already read it, and if you haven't, it's worth reading. There is no mistaking this. You got a tough road to hoe. I mean, it's going to be a long journey forward. Ask around, get a couple of friends, get a couple of people at your local church. If you go to church, find some folks who have a counselor that they trust and reach out to that person. And your counselor should be able to refer you to some childhood counselors in the area so that they can help facilitate these conversations. There are people who are specifically trained to have these hard conversations with kids. It's both delicate and very direct, and it's a process. Whew. Please keep me up to date. Let me know how things are going and call anytime. And I'll walk alongside you, Emily, every single step of the way.